Hello. What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Tramell Ray Isaac, Senior Art Director of PlanetSide 2, with the first episode of Inside the Player Studio, where we'll be going over some assets, talking to some devs about the process, and answering questions from you guys out there. So I see the chat room is pretty full. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming out. Today on the show, we've got Rick Reynolds. He is the senior e-commerce manager. He's the guy who actually, makes sure all the e-commerce stuff is taken care of. He'll explain exactly what he does a little bit later. And of course, we've got Taylor Dowell, who is our player studio extraordinaire, queen of all things that are player studio. So she's the person that actually gets those things labeled and puts them in the game and makes sure that people can buy them. So you can ask her questions as well. I'm going to bring her up first. So just give you a little background on this. What we're going to do here is we're going to talk about some things. We're going to answer a bunch of questions, and we're going to do a little critique at the end of the show. Go over some assets that have been submitted already, show you the submission process, show you some of the things that we have to do, some of the things that you should be looking out for when you submit some of your assets, and that way you can be better versed in the creation of Player Studio assets. And first up, I want to bring in my good friend Taylor Dowell, who's going to tell you about what she does on a daily basis. Come on in, Taylor. Get in here. Let me adjust your microphone. And I'll probably just go ahead and get some. Oh, wow. Look at that. You got a fan already. Adam says you're so beautiful.
Well,
and she's tiny, too. Look how small she is compared to me.
Scooch in here.
You need a booster seat. So, Taylor, tell us, please, if you will, about your daily workings with Player Studio.
So, if any of you follow me on Twitter, you've seen some of the screenshots that I post that are really, really unexciting. My life is a bunch of spreadsheets. I get a bunch of numbers and I put them with other numbers, and then I paste them in with some more numbers, and then I go home and weep softly.
Okay, what are these numbers that you're talking about? Like, if I'm a creator, Player Studio creator, and I send my harasser attachments in, what happens to them?
So the first thing we do is you guys in the art department get them and you do your magic, and then they get sent to, well, in the harasser's case, it will get sent to our buddy Kevmo, who is the vehicle guy. For anything else, it just goes straight to me, and I have a list of assets. I have a bunch of icons. I have the actual art asset that's going to go in the game, and then I construct an item out of it. And that's basically just the thing that actually goes in your inventory that you can equip. It says what the name of it is, where it equips to, what kind of item it is, all that exciting stuff. There's about 70 different rows of information on the item sheet. So all that stuff needs to be filled in so that you can actually use it in the game. And then once that's created, I check it, make sure that it works properly, looks okay. If it doesn't look okay, then it gets sent back to the artist to do a second pass on it. If it does, then it goes into the marketing data, which is what you see in the store.
So if you had to guess, one asset would take you how long to be from you to, I guess, the next person that handles it? From you to the store, how long would one asset take you?
I can usually do, it depends on what type of item it is, but probably a couple hours to do maybe like a batch of helmets, which is like 6 or 7 of them at a time.
Okay. And what is involved in actually creating a batch of helmets? Is it just one item that gets created every time you create an asset, or is it multiple items?
It's one item per asset, and then it has to go through about 8 other tables once the item is created. And there's a lot involved in QAing that, because we do a lot of our own QAing on this team. So once the item's created, I have to go in and look at it and make sure it looks okay and that it equips properly. It's got the right names, descriptions, all that stuff. Also have to make sure that it's got the right Player Studio submitter so that all your special money doesn't go to somebody else.
Sweet. Nobody wants that. Oh, crap.
Oh, gosh.
Kicking stuff, man. Look at me. Destroying the set. Anyway, so you mentioned object IDs and making sure that people get the right things. when you're QAing this, I mean, how is there regular like bugs, do things that normally happen? What is like things that you normally see in the creation process that that would prevent it from getting to the to marketplace?
Well, with hood ornaments, a big thing that we see is that it's too big. When you're in the flash, for instance, it will just kind of obscure your entire vision because it's right in the middle. They're like right there. So with those, a lot of times we'll have to resize them to make them a little bit more scaled down so you can actually see where you're going and you don't crash into a wall. With helmets, a lot we see there's like the head, it goes under the helmet. So if you have something that has like an open face, the head doesn't get occluded, or it does need to be occluded if it's a full mask. And a lot of times we see that the artist, it gets like a little toggle that gets missed a lot, so that'll have to get sent back or something like that. Or like the nose will poke through or something, so we have to occlude the head. All sorts of exciting things. It's
Sounds
usually
good.
like some teeny little thing that I notice halfway through, and then it just screws up the entire process.
Sweet. All right, let's take a couple questions for you here. Anybody got any questions for Taylor?
I'm not answering any questions.
Yeah, you
I've
will.
decided.
You're
I'm
going to
not.
be answering all kind of questions. Player Studio, it's a PlayStation, Player Studio, PlanetSide 2. Yes.
Yes.
There you go. Done. Answered that question. We are
We're
out.
done. We can go, right?
Question for you. What is Hogarth's role in all of this?
Hogarth usually sits under my desk and growls at me until I give him a piece of apple.
Yeah, he attacks me in Scrum meetings too. I don't know why.
You instigate. That's
I don't. He just like comes
totally
over and
instigates.
he bites my ears.
Mhm.
He's crazy. Do you change the name of an item if you don't like the creator's name choice?
I usually leave it alone unless there's something like there it's already taken, or if it doesn't match with the feel of the faction. For like, I think the EagleCom helmet is one that I changed to. I changed it to NanoCom just because Eagle is a NC thing. So stuff like that. Like if it doesn't match our lore, or if it's just something that's slightly off, I'll change it. Usually I'll leave it alone though, because I don't have the time to personally name every single item that we get. I would never go home.
It's pretty simple. Just change every
Yeah,
name.
so
Sweet.
give your stuff a good name so I don't have to spend my life changing it, please. Thank you.
Yes, this is the darkest set. Because, I'm doing this thing.
We're actually in a closet.
That's all they can spare was like, hey, if you want to do a show, you got to go in the broom closet. So, stuffed into a closet. Sorry about that, folks. Any other questions for Taylor? Can you play with SC for Player Studio content instead of cash? No. I don't think there are any items that you can, Player Studio items that you can buy with SC. Are there?
I think he means pay the creators in Station Cash. I don't know.
Can you pay he said pay with SC for Player Studio content instead of cash. What? That's the same
I
thing.
don't know. I don't know.
Cash is
Moving
SC
along.
though.
Next
All right,
question.
next question.
I don't have time for these
All right,
shenanigans.
question. The general latency for accepted items in the game. Okay. So
Yeah.
how long does it take for an item to get accepted till it gets to into the marketplace? So that's like basically part my job and part her job. So for us, it goes through, obviously when you get it and comes in valid, and that's just a basic check of what the asset is. So if the asset is a helmet, it'll check like the number of verts it's supposed to have, et cetera, whether or not it's got the UVs on it, and just the basic, very basic checks. And then that just tells us that the asset is valid. And then when we actually do content approval, we send that to somebody to actually look at the asset, verify that it's legit. If it's not, we'll send it back. Meaning by if there's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed on it, we'll send it back. If there's a couple things that needs to be fixed, we'll probably just fix those up and not worry about it. Depends on it. We usually try to use a rule of thumb of 4 hours or less. If it's more than 4 hours, we'll send it back. And then once that's all cleaned up and we think it's good to go and rigged, and you test it in the actor tool, which I'll probably be showing you guys a little bit later, it goes to Taylor. And then she does her magic work on it, gets the things off, gets all the IDs attached to it. And then that, while you're doing your work, Phil and Richard, they actually make icons for the store. So, or if we have to do a billboard for a certain thing, they'll make the art for the billboard, and then once all that's all done, then it gets pushed. So usually time frame, depending on how busy we are or how many helmets or how many assets we have, I would say to clean up is usually a day. To get those icons done is less than a day. Taylor's work is probably about a half a day. And then the actual weighting process is variable based on the number of entries that we have. So like we'll probably be releasing some of the harasser stuff pretty soon here, considering that it's a new category and the fact that we've got like a handful of things. We've got a lot of submissions, but we want to just take the best out of those and then send those out as soon as possible. But like with helmets, we got huge backlog of helmets. You actually did inventory on the helmets. What did we end up with?
Oh gosh, I think we have probably about 6 or 7 per faction waiting at this point, and those are ones that are actually created and in there, and they're waiting to be scheduled in the store.
Okay, so that doesn't include anything that's waiting in content approval, pending, or
that's just ones that are actually done on our end and just need to be released.
All right, so there you go.
Yep.
And that usually depends on how long. So I would say roughly, what do you think, 2 months, 3 months?
It depends on how much of something we have. Like the TR helmets are getting out pretty fast just because we don't have a whole lot of them. But if you create like a Vanu helmet at this point, there's a lot of those. And so you have to wait behind everybody else who submitted them, who needs to get their turn first, or they will come here and they will kidnap me and hold me hostage.
Okay. Glass overlay. See, that's questions for Taylor.
Yes.
She's got very limited time. I'm going to say, probably another 4 minutes? Give you another 4 minutes.
I'll take 4 minutes.
Another 4 minutes for Taylor. And you got any questions for her, not for me? Like the alpha question is more for me. So there you go. Anything for Taylor. Will layout to store change at any point? Yeah, we're actually working on a new marketplace right now.
Yes, we are.
Don't have an ETA on that just yet, but we are working on a new marketplace because we do realize that our releases are predicated on the layout of the marketplace. Maybe
That's
you can
also,
speak to that a little bit.
The big camo consolidation we did recently was to help facilitate that because there was just a ton of stuff in every category and it was really hard to see what was coming out every week. And we want you guys to get a proper opportunity to show off your new content. So we're working on finding a release schedule that allows everybody to get a fair chance but doesn't take too long, so you're not waiting 3 or 4 months to get your new content out, but also doesn't spam the store with a bunch of stuff, which also makes it harder for you guys to get your stuff noticed. So that's something we're looking into. It's going to be an ongoing process, but we're going to look now, since we have the camos in their own little section, we can get everything a little bit more organized. So you'll see the new release is speeding up a little bit in the future, not too much, but it'll get better as time goes on.
Sweet. Question, what things can Player Studio artists do on their end to make your job easier?
Screenshots should probably be very clear because I have a huge list, which you'll see later, of just helmets. And it's like a bunch of purple helmets and a bunch of blue helmets. So if I can see immediately like what your item is very clearly, it helps me to not have to search through a bunch of random stuff. And this is kind of the hardest part of my job because like there's just so many things that I have to scroll through and there's no good way to search. Oh, that's another thing. Put the name of your item in the file name from the get-go because a lot of people just use whatever the default one is. Like they'll put whatever the example file in as the file name. And I don't like that because, like, see that one right there? It says Decimator in the file name, and then I can just do a search for Decimator and find that immediately. So that is, I like this. Who submitted this? They're my
This
best friend
Nico
now.
Coco.
Oh, Nico.
There you go.
My buddy.
Good
My
job.
bro.
Good job, Nico. Doing good things. Good things.
Get a gold star.
Gold star for Nico Coco. All right. Last question. Anybody else? Radar X, you can't ask questions. What are you doing?
Get out of here.
Get out of here, bum. One more question for Taylor. Who else got something? Yeah. George Clooney. Yeah, the actor tool is the tool that we
Because
use
he's an actor.
to export actors into the game, and therefore someone thought it would be a great idea to put an actor's face on the icon. So there you
Get
go.
it? Get it?
No more questions for
No more
Taylor.
question. I'm out. I'm done.
Sweet. All right, there you go. Thank you, Taylor. Appreciate it. Keep on doing what you do.
Yeah. And if any of you guys have questions for me about your items or about future submissions, you can hit me up on Twitter at Pterodactyl. Usually I check it pretty often. I may not respond immediately because I'm working very, very, very hard to get your items in so that you can live your lives to the fullest. But I do read them, and I care about you guys.
Thank
Most of you.
Appreciate it. Tay Ray Dactyl.
I'm out. I'm done.
She's out. All right. Next up is my good friend. They call him Pretty Ricky. I'm going to call him Pretty Ricky from here on out. And he is an e-commerce manager. And somebody wanted me to ask you about this name, Storn. Where'd that come from? Go ahead and put the headset on first. You got to get all squared away. Any questions for Ricky after he spews out his credentials?
I look just like Madonna now.
There you go. You want to get
Much
in there?
appreciated.
Get in here a little bit. Get
All
in
right.
here.
Oh,
Get
wow.
on
Dude,
screen there,
is
son.
is that it?
It's right there.
All
Right there.
What's
All
up,
right,
guys?
Mr. Rick Reynolds, Senior E-commerce Manager. What is it that you do, and how do
It's
you
actually an old title.
actually
But
get?
thanks.
Is there a new title there? Did we mess it up?
Yeah, they just call it. They just say head of Player Studio right now.
Oh,
which is
okay.
crazy, but it's more a role than a title. But,
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
I just do the business stuff. The
I don't
want
wanna
to
mess up your title and
and,
all.
and stuff.
So the odds and ends of Player Studio, that's all you.
Well, whatever the housekeeping, whatever needs doing, going to meetings. Actually, have you shown them the workflow submission tool that
I
we
have
get?
not,
That would be
Mr.
cool
Rick.
to show
I showed
them.
him a little bit, but let me go ahead and
We get a lot of
get that up.
submissions in, and what we're doing here is we've built a piece of software that is a workflow management software, and it takes you in your submission, and it tracks it through a whole process. Can they see that?
Yeah, I think so. Let me
Nice,
go ahead
sweet.
and get this
All right.
bigger. A little fatter for you guys.
Nice.
There you go.
We spend a lot of the day looking at this software. I manage the development and updates and repairs to this piece of software. It's one of the things I do. Go to business meetings and talk them into adding more functionality and things like that. It's not the most artistic or exciting part of the job, but it
Okay.
needs to be done.
All right. Well,
Let's just go
could
fast.
you go through like some of these status?
love
these
to,
statuses?
love to.
What
So
do these mean?
We've got layers across the top in red of different games. Obviously, PlanetSide 2 is the only game we care about, but there are other games that use the same Player Studio. We've got various statuses of a submission that's coming into the process. It actually starts on one that's not even there yet, called Received. And then if it passes all of our security checks and we're willing to allow it onto our network, it goes to status valid. After that, we will sometimes set it into a category called pending assignment when we want to give it to someone in particular to go and work with. Some of our submission types require a specialized person to process, so we want to make sure it gets routed to the right person. Then we've got one called pending content approval. What that means is we're sending a signal to the submitter that we are currently actively looking at your submission. We haven't decided yet. It may require thinking about it. It might require a little research. We might need to go to a meeting about it, but we're working on it right now. The next category over, sometimes we put things on hold. Typically it's because it's a cool idea at the wrong time. So for example, if you submitted something right now that had a holiday theme to it, we might hold it till the next holiday cycle. Other times, there are other reasons it sometimes goes on hold. You might ask us to put it on hold. I've seen that happen. We have another category called pending finance approval. That means we like this item. we've tentatively decided we'd like to put it in the game, but you don't have your tax paperwork done yet. We can tell with the little flag on here, the true-false flag. So if you haven't done your tax paperwork, what happens is the next morning as soon as we use that pending finance approval command, the next morning at like 9 or 10 in the morning Pacific time, you'll get an email from our finance department saying, please sir, go and fill out this paperwork here, and it tells you a little bit about how to do that so that we have everything in place so we can pay you. That's a good thing. You'll like it. If you do have your tax paperwork in order, it instead goes to category accepted. That means we want you in the store. We're working on, we're not working on approval, we're working on finishing your item. It could still change later, but right now you are on a path to getting in the store. We like what we see, and we're working on it. Sometimes we'll get in deeper and see that, oh, there's a texture problem or a seam here, or this doesn't have enough of a border, or some technical problem, and it may occasionally need to get bounced back. Tramell's an expert on that part.
Yeah.
He's very gentle sometimes. Just kidding.
So in the accepted column, that's mainly that we're pretty much kind of working on it, or we're getting to it. That's pretty much where we go. And if it's already, passed, accepted, and placed into the completed area, that means that we're already to the point where we've got icons and stuff like that made for it, and it's ready. It's already in the queue to be accepted. So there you go. That's what complete is actually all about. So the complete would have pretty much all the things that we've touched already and cleaned up and submitted to Taylor, and sent it off to get decals and stuff. Icons and stuff made for it.
All right.
And then,
So
of course, revisions requested.
We look at a lot of items in here, and we go back and refer to them. We look at them again and again and refer to them from time to time. Often, one of the things, we use the name and the screenshot to locate the right record. But then once we're in, we refer regularly to your submission form. For those of you who've never uploaded a submission yet, one of the things that comes in the package is a .txt document with a bunch of questions that we ask you to fill out to tell us about your submission. What do you want to name it? What description do you want to give to this item to help sell it in the store and help it fit into the lore of the game? What suggested price would you like to see it listed at? We do reserve the right to make adjustments to that price, but we'd love first to hear your opinion before we even think about that. There will also be opportunities for what I consider the most important category is the very last one, which says comments. This is your opportunity to explain to us anything that's not obvious about what you're doing. Is there something strange you're doing, something cool, some new different thing? Is this supposed to go with something else in a set of some sort, or is there tell us what you want to do. Is there, for example, let's say you've made a helmet and there's a place that should have emissive light coming out of the helmet. Tell us where that is. So there's you can say as much as you want at that point. Use that to your advantage. Make us understand your vision for what's exciting about this piece. Take advantage of that.
All right. Somebody asked any ETA on Player Studio outside the U.S.
I'm not supposed to say anything yet.
Supposed to say anything.
I'm not supposed to. However, I will tell you that we are very close to opening up Player Studio for creative contributions from select non-U.S. territories.
All right. So
stay tuned.
Is there
I'm actually spending a fair amount of every day working on that right now.
Is there a list of countries that we're like the initial run? I know that there's going to be like a rollout. Or can we not talk about that?
There are some that are closer than others.
Okay.
But it's a different body of work for each and every country. I can't promise anything at the moment.
All right. Well, could you explain what the process has been for you to try to roll some of these things out? Because I think that's what people are trying to get past. It's like, well, how can it be so hard? It's like you just press a button and then the whole country gets to come along. So what is it that you have to do in order to make sure that that rolls out smoothly?
Well, we have to do several parts. We have to do a couple of legal parts. We have to do a couple of finance parts, and we have to do a little bit of I do get, by the way, the inside jokes in that stream, and if you do make it to the end of the broadcast, there will be a pap link. Just chasing. Okay, but going back to what has to be done to add a country to this. Among other things, you have to look at the IP licensing laws, the intellectual property licensing laws. When you submit a submission to Player Studio, you're retaining ownership of that artistic design. You're giving us a very broad license to put it in our game, without which we can't do it. This is one of the reasons why you need to be 18 to do the submission part, because your submission is also a contract, and you need to be 18 years or older to legally enter into a contract. So in order to give us the license, we need you to do that. And we have to look at licensing laws in each country and what's necessary to be able to incorporate that item in. Another thing that we have to do, by the way, if you're 13 to 17 years old, you can still participate, but you have to get your parent or legal guardian to do the submission part for you, because for reasons I don't know, they have the right to license your intellectual property on your behalf and take the money. But whatever, I'm not a lawyer.
There you go.
Speak to your attorney.
You ever wonder what happened to Gary Coleman?
Nah,
there you go.
Oh, dude.
Gary Coleman.
Sad
Typical.
story. All right, okay, going back to this. Also, taxes. Every country has a different tax relationship with the United States. They have a different opinion of who gets what if you earn money through sales in the United States, even though you're sitting outside the United States doing creative contributions. And if some of it needs to be withheld, who do we withhold it and send it to? Which government office in which country? And it gets really complicated really fast. We don't have a big finance team here at Sony Online Entertainment, and the ones that we do have aren't always experts on international tax rules and treaties in every country. So they don't know where to send your withholding. So there's a lot of work to do on each one. I'm going too deep on this.
Well, people wanted
It's all
information. People wanted to know. They think it was, we just don't like Canada or some crap.
I like Arctorn's thing. Long story short, it's complicated.
Yeah, it is complicated. But, just to say it's complicated, people are like, oh, you're glossing over it. So there you go. You have it.
I still had hair.
There you
Just
go.
say that.
Me too. I actually asked him a couple questions about tax law, and it just gone. Anyway, so what's next for Player Studio, for PlanetSide specifically, and if you can talk about that company-wide as well. What do you think is what's going on?
We do have a lot. We do have a lot going on. We have additional categories coming. Additional territories. We're actually trying to make the whole process easier to start into. I can't. Dude, you're gonna get me in
I gotta
trouble.
ask the hard
You are
questions,
so
man.
Gonna get me in trouble.
I gotta ask the hard questions. So we've got some stuff brewing.
Stuff. Some of it, we're trying to bite off some really big things. John Smedley is on board. He says go for it. We are working on some big things. However, not every big thing you go for comes to fruition on an easy slide. Some of it you have to work and fight for a while before you can make it happen.
All right.
And we're asking for complicated, big stuff.
Well, there you go. Maggie, would you... I keep getting Maggie popping in here, turning my knobs.
Are we screwing this up?
She's turning
I
all the
swear I've not
knobs and
touched
stuff.
anything on this fancy board.
I guess you started talking louder, and then the knobs need to be adjusted. So
Oh,
whatever.
Did we say? Oh no.
No,
that
no.
wasn't us.
You were
Someone else
talking
said
too
it.
low at first, and then you piped up, and then she's got to do the knob.
Dude.
So you know what we
Alright.
should do? We should just
What's
start
that?
whispering,
I know.
and then she'll come in here and turn
Is this
the
the
knobs
part of the
again.
show where we sing a song? Just kidding.
Anyway, all right. Anybody got any questions for Rick? Okay, question. Who would you rather? Oh man, come on. Real questions, Coffee. Stop playing with me.
Coffee outlaw.
Hey,
Dude.
stupid.
Dude.
Anyone? Okay, whatever. Let's see. All right. Well, it looks like that nobody's got any
There
real
was a good
questions
one
for
that
you.
we
We totally missed
we
it.
went
Ask a
past.
question.
Shoot.
Whatever.
Dude.
Okay. Nothing there. It says knife skins are hinted in the near future.
Yes.
So
Wait. Where's my knife?
they're not really skins. Like when people say skins, that's an old throwback to like Quake, and that's when I hear skins, I'm thinking texture swap, and there's not going to be a texture swap. It'll actually be a full model change, which is just a new knife completely, and we will be allowing people to submit melee weapons and knife-like objects, not anything that wouldn't be swung like a knife at this point, because that requires new animations and the whole shebang load of stuff. So that's what's coming next. Do we even have an ETA on the knives? Because I think we wanted to do that fairly soon.
It's in the next couple months.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. Should be pretty easy to do. We just we'll give you the mesh and the limitations like we always do, and then you can have at it. Knives galore.
Knives galore.
Okay, so who else? What if we decided to submit an item for a special occasion event and wanted the proceeds to go to be
That's
donated?
a good question. I wanted to go to that because someone else asked, could we participate without receiving royalties? And it's actually the same answer. We've shown you a little bit of our workflow processing software. There's another piece of software we haven't shown you, and frankly, it's not something we could really show in public, but it's a back-end set of processes for calculating royalties. Right now, all it can do is calculate basic royalties, assuming one creator per object. We hope to improve this in the future. That's all it can do. We don't have the software support to have it do anything else like waive royalties or donate them to charity or pay you in station cash instead of US dollars, etc. We've only got the software support that we've got. The process of building that stuff is long and complicated and slow because it involves a lot of personal identifying information, which has a lot of rules and security around it. So we have to go slowly.
All right. And who is this? Captain Mother Russia. How is this PS2? Well, I don't know. It's not. It's not PS2. This is Player Studio, man. This is what it's all about. If you want to submit to Player Studio, you need to tune in to find out how to do that. So anybody else got any other questions for Mr. Rick?
You keep an eye on the questions for a second. I have some advice for you guys too, a little bit.
Yeah, he's got like a little speech.
Dude, I wrote a little.
You got a
few things,
speech ready.
little
All right, go
notes to
ahead and
myself.
do your
All right.
thing there, Rick.
One is we talked about using submission forms effectively and to your advantage. Another thing is your screenshot. Use your screenshot effectively. If you're taking a screenshot, for example, don't give me the whole big frame. Just go down to the part that you really want. That's what you want. All right. Also, if you want to show multiple angles, you can take 2 or 3 angles of screens just to show all the way around a 3D object in particular, or zoomed out or zoom in, and then stick them all into the same graphic and give it to us like that. So concatenate them, for example. It's better if you don't do them in a long line to the right or up and down, but do them in a square, because it makes Taylor's life easier if you do that, and she appreciates that. And she works so hard that, sometimes I feel guilty. Other things to say about your screenshot. If from time to time, submissions require some back and forth to get all the aspects just right. We know you've got a great idea. We know you're well on your way to executing it. We can see it as a final item, but it needs some work, or if we put some work in with you, we know it'll be that much better item, and we want you to get the most you can out of this item. We want it to be a success for you. So we'll send it back to you for revisions, and we'll try to describe to you what you need.
Yeah, so like
Each
for
time-
example, this one right here, instead of just, putting it on the vehicle, it's hard to, because in order to speed things up, I would much rather just see it like this. It's a decal, I can see that it's a decal, it looks fine. And then I can just say, oh, it looks good, I'm gonna go ahead and improve it. As opposed to, going to this and then having to actually open the file and then look at the file. It just takes a little bit longer. When you have hundreds of submissions, it just takes, that much longer to get to the meat of it.
And if you're making revisions to a submission, give us a different screenshot each time. That makes it so much easier to tell which one's a newer one, and it's great. You actually change the name of the file slightly too. What was the one earlier that the guy that Nico Coco did a great job on the name of it? The Decimator. If he needs to do a second one, he should do Decimator 2, Decimator 3, and then we know quickly at a glance that it's an update to it and which one's the most recent. Big help to us. Also, one of the idiosyncrasies of our backend software is it has a security feature that is an anti-spam feature. So if you submit something to us with the same name multiple times, it will just delete each other one with the same name and not put it through. And we won't even see it. We won't know.
Sweet. Anything else on your list there?
Let's see.
Dude, how you read that? That's just like, look at that. Can you read that? Anybody? It's just like scribbles.
I can read it. It's like squid ink pasta. That's what we'll say. We'll go with that. If you've never done this before and you're just getting started, one piece of advice is use the forums to your advantage. We've got Player Studio forums, and we've actually got 2 layers of it. We've got a public layer that you can see with categories to look at, but we also have a group that's not as obvious that are where we auto-post submissions for peer review. Let me describe that. You post it when you submit an item to us. A copy of it, of the screenshot, and a couple pieces of information about it get posted in a special forum where people can watch to see what's coming in and ask questions or comment about it. This is a great place where learning takes place. You can see what other people are saying or asking about items you didn't make and learn lessons before you have to make the same mistake. It's great. It's also a great place for you to go in and ask questions. Look, I did it this way. I was really trying for this other effect. Could you guys give me some advice on how I could get, to where I want it to be with this item? That's a great thing also. You can also get a sense of the quality bar in the category you're working in. If you're going for a fairly hotly contested item like Vanu helmets, it's a great idea to it's a nice one we saw today. If you're then you can see what other people are submitting or decals, and you realize, oh, well, maybe this thing I made on a cocktail napkin last night at the bar, maybe that won't really fly in the face of this. Now this one on the other hand, that one will fly. Just saying.
When pigs fly?
Exactly.
There you go. Done deal.
We'll be here all week, guys.
All right. So, any more questions for Rick before he goes?
Am I going?
Yeah, I got to do the critique now, man. It's time to critique some stuff
I'm
live.
waiting to see that too. That's going to be hot.
All right. So let's get it on. All right. Thank you,
for
Mr.
coming,
Rick.
everyone.
I
Great to have
appreciate
you.
it.
By the way, on the forums, I go by Sarah. Some of you will chuckle when I say it's because I got tired of Zinfandel. But Sarah, say hi sometime on the forums. And I hope you guys are having fun with this, because we certainly are.
All right, definitely.
It's a lot of work, but we're having
And
a lot of fun.
hit him up on Twitter, Storn, at
Storn.
Storn.
Yeah, it's named for an old character in another MMO years and years ago.
There you go.
But,
so if you want any other detailed questions about Player Studio, he's the man. Hit him up on Twitter. He's all over the place, Twitter and forums.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Now let's
You're too
get
kind.
down to business and get some serious stuff going on with some critique. All right, so I asked permission on this one. I asked somebody last week if it would be okay if I use their asset for critique, and hopefully they're watching. Maybe they can get some things, learn some stuff here. And I'm gonna go ahead bring up Maya. I'm also going to show you a little bit of something that we have to do in order to get just an asset ready for you guys. So let me bring up Maya real quick, and let me make sure I got this guy's name right, because I don't think I remember who I actually got this from. And if you see it and you know who it is, let me know so I don't have to keep searching for it. All right, anybody remember this helmet? I am not the Samuel L. Jackson of SOE. I am Tramell Ray Isaac, sir. The one and only. All right, so got this helmet. It was submitted, I think, last week. And it's got a couple things that I would definitely change on it. And some things that you might want to watch out for when you're actually creating your helmets. So, first and foremost, I'm looking at this, and the neck geometry should, be a continuous line across. You should have at least two segments. At least two segments. 3 would be great, but at least 2 continuous segments. See, this is actually broken up. Your segments actually go, they don't actually go around the neck. And so that's actually going to fold this up when it animates, and it's going to do some funky stuff. So first and foremost, I would fix that. And then you want to make sure that every line that you put in your geo, make sure that actually changes the silhouette in some way. So if you're looking at this line right here, this edge that I just highlighted, as you can see, it barely changes anything in that silhouette. So I could easily remove that and not have it, it actually wouldn't change anything, So I could actually save geometry without having to, compromise the actual shape of my piece of work here. And in some cases, you can combine these two right here. Like this may be excessive because it barely even changes. It's barely even noticeable. So you can take that geo and use it somewhere else, and actually, create the edges, so that you can get like a nice smooth edge somewhere else. So you want to look out for stuff like that. So make sure that all the geometry that you're putting in the helmet actually means something, so that you're not just adding geo just for the sake of it. And you're right, the limit is around about 6,000. I mean, it's really, you can do a lot with that limit. I mean, you can do some serious work with that limit, and you don't want to just throw those away, because you can start adding more detail to your helmet and make it look even cooler. And first and foremost, I mean, I in the forums, we want to try to be as cordial as possible. When you're actually critiquing somebody else's work, make sure that when you post, you're thinking about, like, would you like this information to be delivered in this way? So if you're posting something and being a complete butthole about it, think about it and say, hey, would I want somebody talking to me that way? The answer is probably not. So just kind of curb your enthusiasm for a particular piece, and respect everybody else that's on the forums, and make sure that it stays a constructive place. We do monitor the forums in pretty much every day. So if you're posting something that's derogatory or negative toward one person or another or a group of people, it'll be deleted. And if you continue to do that, we will ban you. So this is all about trying to get you guys paid. You know, I'm all about trying to get somebody some money. You know, I do this because I love this program, and I do this because I want you guys to actually make some really cool stuff, and I want to be a part of that. You know, I don't get paid extra per submission. If I did, I'd be like, oh yeah, you can go too, and that guy too, and this guy too. You know, so I really want you guys to be successful and have something that's really nice, and something that you can say that you actually participated actively in making PlanetSide 2 really, really cool. So when I'm critiquing you, it comes from the heart. Trust me, I really want you to succeed, and you know, try to take my critique, you know, to the heart, and actually, you know, put some action to it, and get that thing out there. And in the forums, if I'm really short and curt, it's because I have very little time to actually go over these things. So I want to make sure that I get to everybody. I try to make sure I visit the forums every morning or at lunchtime, and try to get those comments in there and try to answer some of your questions as soon as I possibly can. So I'm really jumping through these things. So if it seems like I'm being really abrupt with it, you know, that's because I have very little time. But I really want to get a comment in there and let you know that I'm actually watching the thread, and so on and so forth. So to continue with this one, you know, it's a pretty decent helmet. I like it. There's a couple of things I would change. You know, it's not very menacing, you know, which is one of the things that I've said in the forums a lot that you guys may have seen. It's not very menacing at all. But you can also see that the difference between what you guys see and what we see is a little bit different. So I'm going to get up close on this. And you see the little scratches, all those little scratches in there. That stuff is, you know, from our detail normals, you know, and you guys don't see that in the texture that you have on your machines, because you don't have our shaders. And we're actually working on trying to make that a little bit more easier for you to understand. So when you're laying these things out, another thing I want to try to point out is, like, you see how, you know, the texture itself has a little bit of modeling in it. You know, it's got like some, you know, some light grays and some dark grays. You know, those things are great, but when you make that really, really big, you know, you make that UV piece on there really, really big, it ends up looking blotchy. So you want to scale that a little bit bigger in your UV sheet. And I'm going to find that piece and try to actually scale that up. Hopefully this is separate. Sweet. Perfect. Alright, we'll grab this here. Oops. And so I'm going to scale that up and move this around. Try to fill up that space as best you possibly can. So you get some more detail in there, just a little bit. And it looks like that texture and the UV sheet's not quite flat. Okay, go ahead and do that real quick. Probably want to rotate that just to get as much as you can out of it. Alright, so that'll give you some more texel density. You know, try to take up as much space as you possibly can. And one of the things that you guys don't see is that second channel UV. You guys aren't making second channels at this point in time, which will change in the future. So be on top of that. You know, we'll let you know when that changes. But that second channel determines like how tight these detail normals are. So like for this, there would be a couple other things with the geo that I would change with this one. Like I was saying earlier, it's not quite menacing enough for me. You know, you don't want to be attacked by some dude that's friendly looking. I guess it'd probably be funny if somebody did, but You know, you want to look like a badass when you're out there on the battlefield. So something that I would change here would actually just kind of pull this down just a little bit, pull this out, and maybe even push this back just to give it a little bit more, you know, a meaner look. And probably pull this all the way down, try to get that brow down. So go ahead and pull this out, pull this down a little bit more. Grab that. Push that back in there. And like I said earlier, if this requires more than 4 hours worth of work or less, then I'll send it back. And I think it probably does, because there's a couple of things that I noticed earlier that aren't quite right. Like in one of these things you need to be aware of is like some of these like finer details. If you back up on this, you see how this just turns into like a solid mesh almost. And that's at a fairly decent distance. Like if you're on screen, like that guy's right next to you in the game. So you can probably take half of these, scale them up, and make them, you know, a little bit more prominent, and also save yourself some polygons that you can use somewhere else. So this is what I found when I was actually going through this helmet earlier, preparing for the show. Let me see. Let me turn my soft select off. Bam. So if you're out there, I forget who. Anybody know who made this helmet? Anybody want to throw that out there? No? I don't know. Anyway, I'll find you in the forums later on. Hopefully you can see exactly what I'm doing with this. Anyway, I found out that none of these edges are welded, which is a big no-no. Please, please, please don't do that. Make sure all of your geo is welded as best it possibly can. You know, you can have like some things that are floating and kind of shoved in there. That's fine, but try to reduce the amount of floating verts, because transforming, sending verts to the card, and you know that's just murder. So we have to. It makes the game run slower. So if you want to wreck the game, go ahead and keep making that, but please don't do that. So weld all your verts, clean up your geo, so it really shouldn't be like that. I mean, it could be just as simple as selecting the whole thing and then doing a merge at like 0.001 or something like that, and that'll take care of all the verts that are right on top of each other. So make sure you do that before you submit. And I think this helmet's not that far off. There's a couple things that I would change. Like I said, you know, make this brow a little bit more of a furrow brow, and clean this up a little bit. Clean up some of the geo. Remove some of the extra geo that's not necessary. Thought I turned that off. Some of these extra cut lines. Make sure your neck piece is subdivided in a way that it can actually animate in a nice fashion, and then utilize some of those extra cuts that you've taken out to clean up some of these edges. So like I would take this edge, like a hard edge or something like this. Like these edges, this edge does not make any sense right now. Oh no! No! Oh no, I did not know that. Okay. Seriously. So, obviously there's a couple things amiss with this particular helmet. And I'm going to try to clean it up. And of course, some of, you know, if I do this wrong, you know, it could you know, collapse some things that I don't want to collapse. But hopefully that took care of most of those things. Let's see real quick. Alright, I think that got it. But again, make sure all your stuff is welded. That's huge. That's huge. So what I was going to show you We're going to do this real quick. So this actually should have went all the way back. So I'm assuming that something is funky with this right there. Something's wrong. Oh, all right, cool. This edge probably just needs to be hidden. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that. Yeah, that'll go all the way through. Then I'm going to hide this one. And I'll show you something real quick. So what I believe this person was trying to do was get a hard edge. He's trying to get a hard edge. And what you can do instead of doing that, like smoothing groups actually cost us as well. So anytime you do a smoothing group in 3D, behind the scenes, what it actually does is break those verts in order to get that hard edge. And of course that increases the vert count, which increases the expense of that asset. So what you want to do is try to avoid creating smoothing groups. So in order to do that, what you can do, if you want to continue to have like, I'm gonna just go ahead and smooth this whole thing just for real quick, and then I can show you exactly how you can get a hard edge. So obviously you don't want it to look like that. You know, it looks really bubbly and, you know, does all kind of crazy stuff like that, right? But if I wanted to get a hard edge here, and I wouldn't go all the way down here because some of this geo doesn't go all the way down, doesn't need to go all the way down there. But if I wanted to get just a hard edge on that, just go ahead and bevel this, and you know, do 2 segments, and there you go. You got a nice hard edge. But see, that edge actually looks a little bit cleaner than, you know, the little snapped edge that you create with your smoothing group. So, you know, that's something that you can do in order to you know, clean up your mesh, make it look really, really clean and professional. So that's something that we use all the time. What else? Obviously, like I said, the detail normals you guys can't see. So what we have to do sometimes is go in here and find where this is on the sheet and move it to an area that is shiny. And that's something, like I said, it's something that we're working on now, and we're going to provide something to you later on. And let me just grab these real quick, just so you can see. And I'm just going to get real quick and dirty with that. And grab these UVs and then find the shiny on this sheet. I don't know where it is on the NC sheet. I believe it's one of these swatches over here. The smaller swatches. So I'm gonna shrink this down. I think that's it right there. Yeah, that's it. So this black right here is shiny black. So you can see the difference between what was there and what I picked for that. So that's just shiny black glass. And I think what we should do is kind of go through all of those swatches on the sheet and then let people know which is which. You know, so probably in the when you download the form, have like another image that kind of like indicates, you know, what's what. Like this is shiny black, this is shiny white, you know, this is shiny, you know, this is chrome, this is shiny blue, so on and so forth. And I think that'll help you guys out a little bit. So, I mean, obviously there'll be a couple other things. Hey, that don't look too shabby. I'd actually go with the gold face mask. If I were you, mystery man. That's pretty cool. I like that. Anyway, so that's that for that. Anybody got any questions for me? I am not the Bob Ross of Player Studio. Everybody's the Bob Ross of something. Keep all these Bob Ross joints going on. And we're going to be doing this stream probably every other Monday. You know, we're going to try that every other Monday. Then we're going to have some special guest on. We got an interview with Arctorn tomorrow, which is probably going to show on the next Command Center. So We're going to keep that going. Anybody got any questions for me about this process? I saw a bunch of questions earlier that we could go over. Anybody? Gun skins. Again, skins are textures. So guns at a later date. I'm going to open those up to Player Studio later on. I don't know. I don't have an ETA, but the first of weapon types will be melee weapons. So we'll be doing that. Appreciate it. Appreciate the. I hope these things work for you guys. Some of these tips, and I'm gonna probably picking different helmets every week. So if anybody wants me to kind of go over the thing, I can do that. Okay, when you're taking more camos. All right, camos we discontinued because we got a buttload of those, and what we're gonna do is probably gonna reopen those up right before we go PlayStation 4, and we don't have a date on that, but as soon as that, as soon as I get a rough idea, and as soon as you guys see some beta invitations go out and all that, then I'll probably most likely open those up again for Player Studio, most likely for a month. So get them ready. Go get ready for the flood. Other common mistakes for submitted helmets. All right, other common mistakes. Not posting in the forums. That is a huge mistake because it requires a lot of feedback. And if I see a helmet that I haven't seen in the forums and I know that it needs a lot of work in the submission process, I'll decline it and tell somebody, whoever that person is, to go ahead and post in the forums and let that process happen. So what I normally do, if I see a helmet that needs a lot of work, I'll let the forum people in the forums kind of mold that helmet into something that's workable, and then I'll chime in, as opposed to getting in there early and then molding it, because I think that the people in the forums actually have some really good ideas, and I think that they understand exactly what I'm looking for, so I don't have to be in there every second of the day kind of monitoring the whole thing. So I want the forums to kind of lead that process. So the first and foremost, if I see something that needs a lot of work, I'm not going to chime in on it every time. So if I see something that's just about there or halfway there, or if I see some potential in the actual design, then I'll chime in. So another common mistake is that people don't post a concept. They just immediately jump into the 3D asset, which is, if you're not really adept at making 3D objects, or you're just your first time, messing around with ZBrush or Maya or any 3D package, then you probably should go with the concept route. And our good friend Coffee Outlaw talked about that in the last episode of Command Center, where he said, he basically realized that his concepts were not as good as he wanted them to be, so he hired a concept guy to create really cool concepts. And he knew he had the 3D part nailed, so he just said, hey, I'll give you a piece of, chunk of money. You create me a bunch of concepts, and then I'll go build them. And that's a good process, because then he can just post up a crap ton of concepts, get one of those concepts approved, and then just start doing it, because that process is a lot faster. If you get a concept that's good to go, and then only thing you're left to do with is try to prove that out in 3D, which for the most part, it can be easy to do if you know what you're doing. Any other questions? You guys need to make more Terran Republic helmets. Okay, there you go. Player Studio guys, make more Terran Republic helmets. Go for it. Who else got a question here? Player Studio ever going to accept infantry armor? Actually, yes, it will at some point in time. Right now, like I said, we're working through a number of things, trying to get it to the point where you guys can see exactly what we see. And I want, before we release character armor and stuff like that, I want the process to be as smooth as possible. Because character armor requires rigging, requires the fact that you need to be able to see our shaders and so on and so forth. And the more stuff that we pull back on our plate, the slower that process is going to be. And we're all about trying to make this process smoother and make it faster. So, character stuff, I want to do it this year. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but that's something that I want to do. Coming to Canada, yes. I don't have an ETA on it though. Soon, I would say. I would really say soon because that's what I've been hearing. So can't give you a date though. So keep, and if I've seen people posting, when I post stuff on Twitter, they're like, well, it doesn't apply to me because I can't, submit because I'm from Zimbabwe or some shit. All right. So here's the deal. The best thing for you to do, like our good friend Faven, I don't know if anybody's from the forums know, I'm sure a lot of people know him because he's a really good artist. And he started off like right when we released Player Studio. He created a bunch of helmets, got into the process, got into the forums, got feedback, and started that process early. So what you can do while you're waiting is get into the forums, start that process, start the feedback loop, learn how things are made, and then by time your country actually gets ready to go, you'll have a bank of things that you can just toss out there real quick. And the secret to building things for Player Studio is to build a bank of items, as opposed to, like I've seen a couple guys on the forums do, I'm going to make one helmet and see how it goes. Okay, yeah, that's fine, because when you do that, you make a good helmet and it gets in the game 2 months later, and then you realize that 2 months I could have been making stuff. I could have had 5 helmets in the queue as opposed to just this one. Now I have to start back and get back in the line. So as opposed to waiting, just go ahead and get that feedback, start posting on the forums, and get it going. Because it takes a while to get a hang of the styles, the looks, the do's and the don'ts and things like that. And that feedback loop needs to happen in order for you to properly make a helmet or any asset, harasser, attachment, so on and so forth. Armistice Day, dude, I don't even know when it is. I'm sorry. That's design stuff. Design makes that stuff up, and they say, hey, we need something, and I'm like, okay, I'll give you something. So I don't even know what day it is. Let's see. Oh, Max helmets. Oh, okay. So Max helmets. Somebody asked about that before in the forums. So with the Max helmets, Max users account for like about 4% of our population. And I didn't think just a helmet would be good enough. So what I want to do is release Max helmets along with the armor itself. So you'll have like a complete set. That's basically what we've done. When we did the Max update, we offered a full set helmet and armor to go with it. So we want to do that. And that's going to require us to have that process, as down as possible. So that's something that we're going to do. I definitely want to do that, but I want to do Max helmets along with the armor. Is La Perza still doing Friday night? I guess. I don't know. Just don't ask her no questions about the forums or something. I don't know. She's crazy about that. She tried to beat me up today. I was like, oh man, got all offended. Can I submit a digital painting helmet? I don't understand. You mean a concept? I don't understand the question. Real life t-shirt designs? No, we don't actually do physical merchandise. Do you know any YouTube user using this software? Explain it in a video. You mean Maya? There's a lot of Maya YouTube videos out there. So I'm sure you can find anybody using. YouTube's got a wealth of information. So if you looking to learn any of these tools that we have, then go for it. I am Vanu. Yes, I am. Thus the Vanu jacket and the shoes to match. Oh yeah. Me and Higgs are talking about doing decals. So decals, one of the things that you should be aware of, decals have been the bane of my existence, and I hate everything that they stand for. And everybody is aware of that, and we are working really hard to make sure that decals actually show the way we want to show them. So, a couple months ago, I posted some images of some things that we were doing with the vehicles, and you may have noticed the changes to the Mag Rider and the common pool vehicles and all that stuff. So, what we're doing with those, there's another step, I would say phase 2 of the vehicle revamp, is allowing them to have a third channel, which is going to affect you guys as helmet and armor makers as well, and vehicle stuff. It's a third channel UV that is specifically for decals, which means that you can now have a decal that stretches the whole side of your harasser, or the side of your sunderer, or across the top of all, from wing to wingtip on the Galaxy. And we're working on that now. Got a couple test cases that we're working on, and as soon as we get that squared away, you guys will see them appear in the store. And that test case also includes decals displaying over the top of composite armor. So there you go. It's in the works, and it should be coming pretty soon. We're going to be doing at least 2 vehicles, most likely the Galaxy and the Sunderer first, because they've got the most surface area of the vehicles, air and land. And then we'll see how it goes from there. But yeah, really cool stuff coming. Damaged decals. No, not damaged decals, but we got something better. I'm telling you, man, there's so much cool stuff coming for PlanetSide 2. You just do not know. And I'm going to tell you this. This is top secret stuff. And I'm don't tell nobody. All right? So this is what's going to happen. So, along with those decals, right? You know, what we're experimenting with. Now, I can't tell you that this is going to happen for sure and when. But we have the technology to do damage on the vehicles. Physical damage, like dents and sparks and stuff like that. So whenever you like get hit with a rocket, bam, fenders all smashed up, wheels are wobbling, doing all such things. That's what's coming. Hot stuff. I'm telling you, hot off the presses. I just told you there. Bam. I can't tell you ETA, but we are experimenting with that really, really soon here. And when it comes, it will be a blast. Literally. So there you go. Heard it here first, folks. Should have tuned in. You missed it. 243 people heard it. Go ahead and spread the word. All right. Anybody else got any questions? Look at all these people just shocked. Shocked and amazed. I'm telling you, man, PlanetSide 2 is just beginning. This year it's going to be so hot. It's going to be so hot. I'm so excited about that. And that's not fake excitement for that guy who tweeted me the other day. I don't do fake. I don't do fake. I'm sorry. I can't be nobody but me. And I'm as real as they come. So what do you got? Question. Any thoughts on complex full body texture designs? What? Splashing camo colors without any organ. What? I lost that question. It got lost in the scroll. Sorry, buddy. Cockpit decal love as in what? Yogi. What do you mean cockpit decal? How was GDC? GDC was great. I did 2 presentations for our good friends at Simply Gone, and it went swimmingly. Okay. Valkyrie opened the player studio right off the bat. Quite possibly, sir. I don't even know. I need to talk to Matt about when he wants to release that. But the thing is that when we do a vehicle, we want to do some internal parts for ourselves, and then soon after we're gonna do some player studio stuff. So I would say probably within a month of the Valkyrie release would be a good time frame. So there you go. What else? Total tries for the harasser. Too much? How much? I don't know. It's a good question. I think the harasser is around 11,000. and then the attachments each 1,200 to or less. I think somewhere around there. PlanetSide T-shirts coming to the public? I don't think so. We sell them at SOE Live. So if you're going to SOE Live this year, you will be able to get some PlanetSide 2 merchandise. As far as like a store that sells PlanetSide 2 stuff, probably not going to happen anytime soon. But if you are in Vegas in August, come on down. Come on down. Come one, come all. Will the VSNC get their holiday helmets like the TR? Yeah, at some point. At some point. Might even just let that be something that Player Studio guys do. Who knows? We put it up for grabs. Anybody who makes the best holiday themed stuff. Winner take all. How about that? What do you think? Commander system. I don't know what you're talking about. Is that a design question? I'm not a designer, I'm an artist. Okay, question. Will you ever allow helmet or future cosmetics to have multiple versions? Retracted helmet. Yeah, eventually. I know that Nico Coco just submitted 2 versions of a helmet that he was working on. And you will notice that Coffee Outlaw has 2 versions. He's actually got 2 versions. One, the Scout helmet, and the second version was the Destroyed Scout helmet. And that's yet to be released, but it is on playtest server right now. So yeah, eventually, like I think those 2 helmets were far enough apart to allow for some variation to get in there. So I'm not opposed to it. You know, if it's a really cool helmet, we'll do it. Let's see. Also, we talk about camo stuff for a minute. We've got so much stuff to cover. I don't know if I have enough time. When did I start this thing? 5 o'clock? So it's 6:16. All right, let's just cut. We're going to cut this thing off at 6:30. How about that? 6:30. So I got 15 minutes to explain a couple of things. So with camo patterns, one of the things that people don't understand what camo patterns are. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Mr. Actor Head over here. I'm going to show you what the Actor tool is. And it's basically our Actor tool has in-game lighting. This is where we load up all of our stuff and test it. So I'm going to open up. Let's see. Let me open up a helmet real quick. I don't know which is which. Just go ahead and throw that in there. Oh, look at that. Bam. Okay, cool helmet. Let's get some different lighting on that. Get some Hassan on that. A little Indar, whatever. Change the field of view so we can get in real close. Change the time of day. So this is where we test all our stuff. We get rid of these clouds and this grid. Get out of that. Bam. All right. So there's the Actor tool. And this is the tool that we use to, you know, take a look at all our things that we've created. All right, so camos, I was just talking about. So you see all the little detail normals that we put on. One of these days, you guys are going to be doing that. So I don't have to deal with this stuff no more. All right. So with the camos, let me see, get your helmet material there. Let me see if I got my window up there. I don't think I do. Where are we at? Attributes. Pull this thing out. Okay. Alright. So here's our texture. You know, it's all the textures that we use to make a helmet. Okay, here's the detail frequency. If I wanted this really tight, really fat, I could, you know, change it. I could change it, make it really, really bumpy if I wanted to. Scale it in, scale it out. You know, obviously don't want to save none of that stuff, so just go ahead and deal with that. And if I wanted a tint, here you go. Here's all the camos right there. Whole gang load. Look at all those camos. Crazy. Crazy stuff. I'm wrapping it up at 6:30, Kels. Why don't you come say hello to everybody? If you was watching the stream, you would know I said 6:30. Oh, okay. Anyway. Anyway, that was Raquel. She's my handler. She deals with all the crap that I deal with. So, all right. So those are all the camos. I'm gonna go ahead and pick one of these joints up in here. Let's see. Let's pick Amoeba. See what that looks like. All right. So that's Amoeba, and I can tile it really tight if I wanted to. And those areas are predefined on the texture swatch. So there's certain areas that are tinted and certain areas that are not. Yes, I have a handler. I can't keep track of all this stuff. She does a really good job at making sure I get to my appointments and stuff. All right, so we can tile that. This is per object, so I can tile that and save this off for the helmet if I wanted to. So if I wanted it really tight or really really loose, I can do that. Here's the thing that we do. So this is why I really want to tell you guys that when you do like a grayscale, you see that this thing is grayscale, right? And it's got 1, 2, 3 colors. Black, white, and gray. And it's 50% gray. And it makes that really easy to change just one color if I wanted to. So if I want to make this red, I could do that. But you can also see that it also gives us it sometimes bleeds into the other color. So when you're asking me, hey, I need this thing to be a certain color, there's only so much we can do. So even if I was to change this to white, obviously there's some bleed, and there's nothing I can do about that. That's just the way it works. So we make the best out of it. So for this, if it was just like that, it works really well for TR. And if I was to change, say, this to yellow, it works really well. For anything that's black in this texture, it works really well. But anything in the mid-tone range, not so much. And it's because it's a certain amount of blend. So if you look at it, you say, oh, I wanted my thing to be yellow and orange and pink, and then you get that orange is like slightly pink. That's what happens, because we really don't have full control over that mid-tone. So what we try to do is pick colors that work so that we don't actually have like really lots of discrepancy in between. So I wouldn't do camo like this, if it was just that color, because that pink just kind of throws it off. So I would get rid of that mid-tone and do something like that, maybe. Or maybe do something like that. Right? And you see that some textures also have a little bit of shine to it, a little metallic going on in it. That is because the texture has alpha. And wherever you put that alpha is, depending on how bright or white that alpha is going to make that texture shiny. And we try to use that sparingly because, it's fancy. People like to make fancy things. So then if everybody made shiny things, then making shiny things wouldn't be special anymore. So we try to clamp those down and save it. So there you go. Quick overview of some camo stuff. I can get into more in-depth stuff later on. But I got 7 minutes. People are trying to get me out of here for some strange reason. I guess I'm blowing up the internets with my stream. So if you got any more questions, will armor decals be on? I just already answered that. I answered that question already. Yes, it's a question. The answer is yes. And no, probably not on Lumifiber. I don't really know why you would want a decal on Lumifiber, but think about that. Probably not on Lumifiber. Body mods. Yes. Eventually we'll be releasing customization stuff for the flying vehicles pretty soon. So we're going to try to do a new one every month. So this month was the Harasser, and I believe next month is going to be knives, possibly. And then the month after that is most likely going to be something surprising. So I'm going to hold off on that. We've got some really cool stuff coming. I'm telling you, we have a lot of cool stuff coming, and it's all tie it into the way Player Studio works. So it's going to be really nice. Trust me. Okay, so yes, almost got 6 minutes. Got a couple of questions I need to answer, and then I'll sign off. Stay tuned. Every other Monday we're gonna do this. So the next show will be. We're gonna do the next show, not the 31st, but the next show will be April 7th at 5 o'clock PST. So if you want to tune in, that'd be great. If you want to participate in Player Studio, that's even better. And I'd like to help you along the way if I can. Appreciate it. And don't forget to post on the forums. If you got great ideas, go for it. If you're in a country that's waiting to get Player Studio accepted items, just go for it. Just go ahead and post on the forums. You don't have to wait until it's legal to do so. Go ahead and get that feedback. Get it going. Preview some more helmets. I don't know, man. It's gonna take me like 2 minutes to find, and I'm not gonna be answering any more questions. Yeah, eventually, I'll get some of you guys. Ultimately, I want to get some of the helmet creators on here so they can share some of those tips and tricks that they use to create some of the really cool helmets that you've seen in the game. So every week, just because this was the first one, I wanted to kind of get the ground, get the ground laid for them, get the bugs out, get the kinks out. I want to do that first, but ultimately, hopefully the next episode we'll have somebody volunteer to get on Skype and talk to us about their process, and show us what they can do with Maya, Max, or whatever tool that they use to give you a little bit of instruction on how they lay their UVs out, or how they build models, or how they concept, and so on and so forth. So we definitely want to get some Player Studio creators on here. That's going to be the keystone, the cornerstone of this show. Focus on the players, focus on the creators, and focus on making really cool stuff. And of course, focus on making some money. That's what it's all about. Got to make some cash. So, got 4 minutes. What do you want? Let's see. We'll be able to put multiple camos. Yes! You will eventually be able to put multiple camos on your vehicle. Okay, so, like I said, the vehicle stuff is in its infancy. We've got a series of additions for the vehicles that will include multiple camos, decals that span the whole of the vehicle, decals that actually cover the composite armor and any attachments that are laid on top of it. Specular on the Empire color. Imagine that. That's just kind of crazy. But that was one of the things that was actually left off because just the oversight. So that's actually coming. We have it in Maya. We can see the specular values on those Empire colors, but we cannot see them in game. And that's something that's actually going to get corrected in the near future. A lot of things coming. Hopefully we can get this damage thing going. It's going to be really, really sweet for the vehicles. That's going to be nice, and hopefully if we can get all of that stuff squared away, we could also take that and put it all on the character stuff. So a lot of cool things coming. So trust me on this. It is not over. PlanetSide 2 is just beginning. It's just about to get really hot. This year is going to be really, really interesting for us. And of course, PlayStation 4 coming later this year. So, yeah, no with the excessive caps, man. If you need me to answer something for you, let me know. Player-made custom textures like Tron-like infiltrator skin. We already have Lumifiber. You can do that now on the Harasser. So there you go. If you want to make Lumifiber, go ahead and download the Harasser pack and get that going. Yeah, get more information about Player Studio. PlanetSide2.com/player-studio. Okay. Sent outfit decals. Yeah. Okay. Outfit capture and outfit recruitment is coming within the next month or so. So those outfit decals will be put to use at that point in time. And if anybody's out there is an outfit, hasn't had their outfit logo placed in the package file, we'll let you know when to start sending those in, and we will get those in for you. So just stay tuned to my channel, and hit me up on Twitter. Keep asking those questions. I appreciate it. And I got 1 more minute before they come with the hook and take me out of here. Anti-alias on camos for pure 3-tone. If you're asking, should you anti-alias or not? I'm assuming that's what you're asking. You should anti-alias. And that, like I was demonstrating earlier, that's the pure 3-tone is still kind of, up in the air at this point. We're trying to work that out. Player Studio for bases. I don't know. I don't know if Matt wants to chew on that one. That could be a can of worms for a lot of designers. Anyway, it is 6:30, and I think this was a pretty damn good stream. And if you think so, go ahead and follow us on Twitch. That'd be great. Let everybody know that this stream is happening. Let your friends know. Let all those Player Studio creators out there know that if you want some info, I got it for you. I'm going to give you the real deal. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I will let you know exactly what you need to do to make these things shine. And I really want you guys to succeed and make a lot of money. Like a good friend, Beastbuster, who's rolling in the dough. And, of course, a good friend, Arctorn, who will be at SOE Live in person, so you get your autographs from him. There you go. He's made a lot of money, so he's got no excuses. Arctorn, I want to see you at SOE Live, sir. All right, so you will see me again in 2 weeks. What was that? April, what was that? The 7th? 4th? What was that? Is it April 4th? April 7th. The next show, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And, of course, tune in to the Command Center, which will be the second Thursday of every month, which is April 10th, for our good friend Arctorn. Interview with him, talking about his Player Studio stuffs. Awesome stuff. Tune in to Friday Night Ops every Friday. Tune in to Work in Progress. That's what, every Wednesday? Every Thursday? Every Tuesday? I don't know. We got so many shows. It's great. Great stuff. Great stuff coming out. So stay tuned to this channel, twitch.tv/PlanetSide2. And I appreciate you, hanging out with me. And I'm glad that you appreciate this. Keep posting on the forums. And I am out. Peace.